Welcome back to the Get Psyched YouTube channel. I'm Leanne. This is Angel, one of my leopard geckos, and today I want to talk to you about something I don't really see a lot in the reptile community, and it's how to keep track of caring for your reptiles, and specifically for this video, how to keep track of your leopard gecko care. I'm DJ Psyched, and you're watching the Get Psyched YouTube channel. Let's get psyched about YouTube. There's a lot of care guides out there that tell you what to do with your leopard gecko and all that jazz, and I even have one on my own website, just all the information that you would need to know when you first start getting into leopard geckos or want to get a leopard gecko. But something that I kind of struggled with when I first got a leopard gecko was, how do I keep track of all of this stuff that I need to do for my gecko, and what's the best way to keep records of stuff? Because this little thing here, having some kind of way to keep records of how you care for your leopard gecko, is going to be really beneficial to you someday if something happens to your gecko, if you have to go to the vet, because they're going to ask you questions about the feeding, they're going to ask you questions about shedding, they're going to ask you all kinds of questions. If you have the answers right in front of you, it's going to be a lot easier for them to help you. You know, if you can tell them about the pooping habits, and you can be like, yeah, the last time they pooped was 3 days ago, that's better than being like, well, I don't really know when the last time they pooped was. So I want to talk about what I've ended up doing that's super helpful. I've actually had to take all of my geckos to the vet a couple of times this year, not because I'm doing anything crazy bad with them, but one of my geckos fell ill, so it just became necessary to make sure that the rest of them are okay, and they are, which is awesome, but this really helped. The vets definitely, told me that it's good, keep it up, because it helped make their job easier, and it helped make my experience a lot less stressful, and it helped me keep track of what's going on with my buddy Angel here. I have 3 leopard geckos, so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to cover 2 spreadsheets that I've made, one for when you have multiple geckos and one for when you only have one gecko. I currently, because one of my geckos is sick and should not be around my other geckos, have them separated, so one of my geckos is in my bedroom here, and these 2 other geckos, they stay in another room. Getting into it, I'm just gonna say this isn't a full care guide or anything, but I will be talking about care, so if you've already started learning about leopard gecko care, I'm just gonna go over some stuff you've probably already heard about, and how these spreadsheets helped you. And by the way, I'm not just going to leave you hanging. These spreadsheets, I'm going to post them online. Link will be in the description. They're going to be totally free to use. I'm not going to charge you to do this. I've been looking for something like this for ages and made my own. So if it's useful to you, if you like the format and you think this will help you, then check out the description below and you can get this and just start printing it out and using it yourself. So, the Gecko Schedule. What I did when I first made this was I just wanted to make sure that I highlighted some of the most important things to document. I mean, there's other things you should do for your leopard gecko, like day and night cycles and making sure their temperatures are accurate. But as far as what you physically do every day, I wanted to make sure that I have, the right idea of what you should be keeping records of. So that's what the top part here is. Home cleaning, that's something important to keep record of because you should be doing that on a monthly basis, spot cleaning when they poop, all that kind of stuff. So home cleaning is something you should keep track of. Their eating habits, you should definitely, I think that's kind of bare minimum. If you're only going to keep track of one thing, you should keep track of what your gecko's eating. It's super helpful. But of course, I advocate for keeping track of more things because it's just very helpful. Their pooping habits, definitely something you want to keep in mind. Their weight, you want to weigh them pretty regularly because, if a leopard gecko just kind of rapidly drops weight, that's something you want to keep your eye on, especially if it's a female gecko. When they go off of feed because they have egg stuff going on, that's something you want to keep track of, that they're not losing too much weight, that it becomes dangerous. You want to keep track of their sheds, when are they shedding, you want to keep track of your handling. You don't have to. I mean, it's not a necessity, but I like to write when I handle them. It just helps, me make sure that I'm handling them enough, but also I don't want to bother them too much, so I try not to handle them all the time. Notable behavior for Angel lately, he's been just a little bit more feisty than usual, which the vet told me is totally fine. He's just being a healthy gecko, but he totally bit me once, very recently. That's notable behavior. That's something I would write down. He's been biting now. It's something he used to not do, but he's been just a little bit more into grabbing onto things now, probably because he's been on a diet for a while. And ordering their food, it's also just something I like to keep track of, so I make sure that I have plenty of insects for them, because having 3 leopard geckos, I don't want to run out of insects. Of course, Angel would do this to me. And then, of course, extra notes, that's something else I just put there. If I have to notate anything else, then I'll put that in the extra notes section. So let's go over just the basics of this. I put their names in the spreadsheet already, the 2 that share a room. This is Angel, Fleur is also in the room. So I have them, repeating, I guess. That's kind of what's going on here is Angel, Fleur, Angel, Fleur, Angel, Fleur. Because they're adults, both of them, they eat 3 times a week, so that's why I have it kind of perforated after that 3 times a week mark. Just makes it easier for me to see that, like, okay, that's how much they need to be fed this week. This is the tracking I'm doing for the week. I put the date that I feed them on here so I know when I feed them. I put down what I give them. So, like, you know, if I give them dubias, I'll put down like 3 dubias. I also like to, you know, get a little bit more descriptive with this, like 3 large dubias, 3 medium dubias, just so that I know what's going on. And then these little boxes here, it says water in parentheses. I just X that out just to, like, notify to myself that, yes, I switched out the water, which is something you should do daily, but just, it's nice to have these reminders on paper so that you just have no way of forgetting. And then, of course, the little poop notes, I just write down what poop I found in his home. You have 1 poop. Was there 2 poops in there today? Was there something weird about it? Was it only a urate? Just little things to notate. And then I X this off here after I spray their humid hide. Like, again, it's just, I like having this spreadsheet be kind of foolproof. It's got, like, everything I need. The only thing that's not written on the spreadsheet is checking temperatures, which is actually something I should add. Might as well. All right. Kind of hard to type with on hell in my hand. So yeah, checking temperatures is also something I would want to notate. You don't have to write the exact temperature, but just having a notation to remember to do that is kind of nice, because when it gets really hot in the apartment, like, or wherever you live, when it gets hot here for me or really cold here, I definitely make sure to, like, double, triple check their temperatures, because their temperatures are going to change their terrarium based on what my temperatures are. Their heat mat is going to feel a lot hotter on their hot side because it's going to be hotter in the apartment. Their cool side's going to be a lot hotter. So it's something I want to keep my eye on, because sometimes you got to turn thermostats up or down based on what it is in the apartment. So that's just something you want to notate as well. All right, and I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I don't want to make this video insanely long. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, this paper is supposed to help you see what aspects of care you should notate from your gecko, and this is an easy way to do that. And at the very bottom here, I have home cleaning, which is something that you should do about once a month, right? So this is 3 weeks right here. I just have it at the bottom of every page so that if it's time for their cleaning, I have it right there. It's easy for me to notate, easy for me to remember. Weighing them every month is kind of like something I like to do at the very least, but every 3 weeks, honestly, I'm totally cool with doing that, so it's probably something I'm going to do. I've been using the spreadsheet for a long time, but I just kind of updated it and made it a little bit more specific recently, so that's kind of why I'm making this video, because I finally think I have it in a place that's just a little bit less chaotic than how I have it now. It's a little bit more free writing right now, and it just looks chaotic, but it's been useful at the vet either way, but I think this version is just a little more specific. And then food order, I'll just write down when I order their food. I ordered their food last night, so I write that down, that way I don't forget. And speaking of which, I did say that I have multiple ones, so this is Sybil's. She's on her own, so it doesn't have the same, like, bold marks. Hers are actually just perforated for 3 times a week. And I just want to say that this is a form that you can just literally, when I post it, just go make a copy. Alright, so if you end up going to this form and you want to use it, if you just go up to File and then hit Make a Copy, it's going to give you an option to make a copy. You can name it whatever you want, put it in whatever folder you want, and if you do that, you'll have your own copy that you can edit, because you're not going to be able to edit the one that I have. And you can adjust it to how you want. If you don't want to track handling them, then don't do that, and you can take that off. If you want to do what I had to do, like here for Sybil, she has to take medication right now, so I just put meds as a part of hers, because I got to track what meds I give her and when I give them to her. She's not going to be on meds that much longer, though, so I'll take that off when she's done with those. But, you know, tailor it to your liking or whatever. But with hers, basically, I just ended up putting... actually, that's not the one I used. Sorry. I have a lot of versions of this. So for hers, what I ended up doing was putting the home cleaning and the weight thing at the top and the bottom, just because I want the same sheet that I can print over and over again. And this is, for one gecko, this sheet could last you longer than a month. So that's why I put the 2 options there, because I might have to clean her cage twice while I'm using this sheet. But for hers, same basic concept though, it's just a little bit neater because it's only 1 gecko. So you have both those options there. If you're a leopard gecko keeper, then you know that you also have to take care of your insects. So one part of taking care of a leopard gecko is taking care of their insects, because gut loading their insects, keeping their houses clean, that's all pretty important, because you want your insects to be healthy if you're going to feed them to your leopard gecko. So I made like an easy small version for insect care, just something to keep the reminders, like don't want to forget to clean the home for the insects. You don't want to forget to give them food and water. And then for ordering food, that's actually kind of really redundant, honestly. It's the same thing. It's like when I order roaches. But what I kind of have as a slight difference here, it says new insect day. So whenever, like, let's say I get dubia roaches, I'm gonna write the day I got the dubia roaches. That way I just know how long I've had a new batch of dubia roaches. I don't have a colony yet. It's something I haven't really delved into. So I get them as they eat them from dubiaroaches.com. Not sponsored. I just think they're a great website if you're looking for a place to get dubias. So when I get the new ones, I can just put them here. That way I know how long I've had them. That way, like, I don't know, if I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I haven't ordered roaches in like 6 weeks, probably time to get more. I can almost always tell, like, looking inside of their bin, especially because I clean it often. But sometimes those dubias really just hide so well to the point where I'll buy some dubias because I think I'm out and I end up with way more than I need. But luckily, having 3 leopard geckos, that's not a really big issue because if Sybil doesn't finish all hers, well, not anymore. Since Sybil's sick, I can't really give her insects to anyone else. They're separate. But if Fleur doesn't finish something and it grows way too big, then it becomes Angel's food. So it's not a big deal, but I just like to have that. I like to know everything about my reptile care. It makes it less stressful. So this really doesn't have to be as deep as I've made it. You can just literally use the papers very simply. Just write the day that you feed them, what you feed them, poop notes. Make sure that you spray their humid hide, give them water, any medication if they need it or anything like that. Check their temperatures, and that's really it. If you're wondering what it's like to keep a leopard gecko, it's not that stressful. It's not that hard. It's just about making sure that you do those things that are appropriate for them. Make sure that you are cleaning their home regularly. Make sure you are feeding them the appropriate amount of times for however old they are. Make sure that you're checking to make sure that they have stools. Make sure that their stools look regular. Weigh them every now and again to make sure that's regular. Handle them. Make sure that they're shedding normally. It sounds like a lot initially, and I was kind of nervous about it, but once you get really used to it, it's so routine, it's not very hard. But having a spreadsheet like this just makes sure you don't miss anything obvious, especially when you're like getting used to taking care of a leopard gecko or when you're getting used to having multiple leopard geckos, because having 1 leopard gecko was pretty simple. Having 3, it's a lot more to keep track of, especially with one getting sick. So I know I've kind of been rambling, but I just wanted to make this quick video to show you all how to use the spreadsheet because I found it super useful, and I hope that someone else in the reptile community can find it super useful. And yeah, that's about it. So if you want to use it, the link is going to be in the description. And I've done a care guide on leopard geckos before. I think I already said that, but I'll also link that in the description just in case you want that information. I do like doing videos on reptiles. I have like a whole playlist of some care videos I've made. But if you want me to do any videos in the future, if you have any topics that you're interested in, just let me know. I've got 3 leopard geckos. I've had like 2 years of experience now. I volunteer with reptiles at a rescue, so that's Be Wild, I'm just representing right now. And so I'm not like a full-on expert, but I have a little bit of knowledge. So if you have any questions, you can also ask in the comments. Definitely feel free to do that. I'm going to try to post more content on reptiles because I really love reptiles. And yeah, so I just wanted to say that. So if you like this, please do like, comment, and subscribe for more. And until next time, stay psyched.